Hey, welcome to this video. So, sorry it took me so long to do this video. One of my cats died last week, so I've been mourning her loss, and it's been hard to want to talk about it, but I decided I'm going to do this video for the full moon lunar eclipse that happens to be a blue moon and a supermoon. So yeah, there's a lot of excitement around it since it is a rare occurrence. But yeah, things have been kind of rough for me, and I mean, Mercury was conjunct Pluto the day that it happened, and in my 6th house of pets, so it is kind of a weird coincidence with that. But she had hyperthyroidism, and if your cat is experiencing any vomiting or diarrhea or excessive eating or excessive thirst, then you may want to go get a blood panel and make sure that it's not that, because I wish I had caught it earlier in her life and gave her the treatment earlier in her life, because I really do think it had done a lot of damage before we found out what was wrong with her. And so yeah, just putting that out there in case you have a cat who is experiencing maybe dilated pupils, and there's a multitude of symptoms. It's just, and they seem so random, so it's hard to know what's wrong with them at first. And I took my cat in multiple times to the vet, and they kept just putting band-aids on the symptoms and never actually they never tried to find out what the cause was. So we did get fed up, and we took her to a specialist, and they finally did a blood panel and found out that she had hyperthyroidism. And that was like a year and a half ago that we really found that out, almost 2 years ago, I guess now. But yeah, anyways, on to the reading. As hard as it is to move on, All right, so on January 31st at 5:26 a.m., this super blue full moon lunar eclipse is happening in Leo, and Leo is conjunct the North Node, and the Sun and Venus are opposite the Sun, or the Moon, I mean, and they are conjunct the South Node in Aquarius. So, of course, when there's an eclipse, there is a conjunction to the nodes, and this is actually a relatively close conjunction, so it is a total eclipse. It will be mostly seen if you're on the Pacific Ocean, but I think parts of the US do get to see it, and other parts of the world as well across the way from the Pacific get to see it in its totality. Of course, the sun will rise right around the time that it's happening. So in parts of the US, you won't get to see it because it'll be too bright from the sun's light. All right, anyways. So with the sun conjunct Venus, conjunct the South Node in Aquarius, this is a time of letting things go, letting relationships go that are not allowing you to be who you are, and allowing yourself to become more expressive of who you are, and being more of your creative self. And the interesting thing is the moon's shadow will be covering, or not the moon's shadow, but the Earth's shadow will be covering the moon with the Leo energy. So there is an essence of the shadow side of Leo being shown, which can be a letting go of your ego and a need for recognition, or prideful tendencies, or even self-centeredness. And you might even be noticing self-centeredness in others. But we're letting go of some of those things, especially ego in order to be more true to our self-expression, because a lot of what ego is a front that we put up that allows us to kind of interact with others sometimes. People will group together and feed each other's egos sometimes. And this Sun conjunct Venus conjunct the South Node, this could be coming up within groups that you're a part of where there's an ego tendency that is needed to be let go of. And that's so that we can be more expressive from our heart center and true to our heart center and connect at a deeper level, a real level, not based around ego as much. And then Mercury moves into Aquarius just 13 minutes after this eclipse, and really technically during the eclipse, because the eclipse lasts for, a while. It goes from like 4 something until like 6 something or 6 or something like that in the morning. So yeah, during this eclipse, Mercury also moves into Aquarius. So this helps us to talk about more abstract ideas, and we'll have a lot of interesting insights coming to us and possibly new ideas for what we wish to see in the world, and maybe inventive ideas even. So this is an awesome time to have conversations in groups and to brainstorm and to really bring something new into the world. Mars is now in Sagittarius as of January 26th. So with Mars in Sagittarius, this can be a time for adventure and exploration and following through on ideas that you have, and really putting your philosophies into action. And this could be a good time for teaching and just being very proactive about things. Sagittarius tends to be very optimistic, so this is a time to take action on the optimistic thinking that you've been having. And the possibilities have become more open for you. So following the excitement that is coming to you is a good idea, because it does, Sagittarius does tend to be lucky, though there is kind of a storyline with Sagittarius where with the great optimism comes a great fall. But the ability for Sagittarius to bounce back can also be great. And there's actually examples of this with like Britney Spears, for instance. Even kind of Christina Aguilera kind of has had like they had like their moment of, a fall or something. But yeah, those are just a couple examples of a couple Sagittariuses. And even Katie Holmes a little bit has had kind of a rough period that was very noticeable, and yeah, that's about all I can think of right now. But yeah, and then Jupiter is at 21 degrees of Scorpio on this day, so it is sextile Pluto at 19 degrees of Capricorn. And there are a lot of themes of sex, death, and rebirth coming up. Definitely like a revealing of sexual misconduct, and just widespread death is being very prominent right now, with the influenza being like much more intense than normal and stuff like that. There is more of these themes coming up and being more noticeable. So there are intense transformations taking place internally as well as externally, and maintaining that hope is extremely important. Jupiter kind of represents like optimism and hope, so having faith in something else, having faith in something bigger than yourself is important during times of more difficult things that you have to go through in life. and knowing that there will be better times ahead. Regardless if you don't believe in something greater than yourself, knowing that there's always going to be something around the corner that could be better. And so holding on to that hope is important during the more difficult times that are possibly, that you could possibly be going through potentially. But Jupiter sextile Pluto, because it is a more harmonious aspect, it could also be used for the more positive side of things. And really looking at the things that are more hidden and maybe things that have been neglected, downtrodden, and things of that nature, maybe we can do more to help people out, be more of service to people. And, Jupiter is very philanthropic. So helping those who have been down in the dumps for a long time and who've been hidden away, neglected, and not looked at, and, that kind of thing. So, and then Jupiter is also trine Chiron, and Chiron's at 25 degrees of Pisces. So this is also about healing those who are not doing well, healing those who are injured, who are ill, who are in unfortunate circumstances. So we can possibly be there for people right now and help uplift those people, and especially with the things that you've gone through personally. So Chiron being the wounded healer, it's about healing those who you know very well what that wound is like because you've gone through the same thing. So helping those on the same path that you've been on, that maybe, just helping others by sharing your story, or by, just being there for people who are going through a similar experience that you've gone through. And then Jupiter is also in conjunct Uranus, and Uranus is at 24 degrees of Aries. So this, to me, brings up the awareness being brought forward of what has been hidden, shocking revelations, and possibly even some amount of natural occurrences, natural disasters, things that are shocking of that nature, especially because it's inconjunct. And when something's inconjunct, it's actually a very uncomfortable aspect. I wouldn't say that it's the most tense aspect, but what it does is it kind of makes you more aware of what it is that you just haven't always been aware of. It brings out a different side of your nature that you may not always understand, because when you look at when it's in conjunct, okay, this is when it's opposite, right? So the first to the 8th house and the first to the 6th house are in conjunct. So the 6th house is the house of service, and the 8th house is shared resources, but also the things that are hidden. So it does have a very transformative kind of feel to it, and also a sense of needing to be of service to that person. So it brings out this interesting kind of a give and take situation. So, and with natural disasters, sometimes we feel the need to, help those people who are going through something like that. Or these shocking revelations could be shaking up our awareness and just bringing these crazy things that we didn't realize earlier about the world. So I think that's kind of the essence of this Jupiter in conjunct Uranus, is that our world's just getting kind of shaken up right now, and there's just a lot of crazy things that we can become aware of especially if we go looking for it. And Jupiter, of course, is a seeker, so it might just go looking for information and come across something that it just doesn't expect. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and have an awesome week. I hope it's going well for you, and I'll talk to you next week, or not next week, but in a couple weeks, or maybe next week, we'll see. All right, bye.